So, of course, we've been talking a lot about Gaza lately and the fact that it absolutely is a live stream genocide. And now Israel has come out and admit, yeah, we're going to reoccupy all of Gaza. We're going to take all of Gaza. We're going to build settlements there. We're going to kill a lot of the Palestinians. Those who remain, we're going to try to ethnically cleanse and deport them to South Sudan or Libya. They're working on deals to try to complete the ethnic cleansing. And this certainly is not getting talked about with the urgency that it deserves. The outrage is not matched to the facts on the ground. And at the same time this is going on, people don't quite realize Israel's also making a move on the West Bank. So part of what Israel's trying to do here, as you know, they're trying to create what's called a Greater Israel. Now, this was viewed as a conspiracy theory at the beginning of the genocide, but come to find out, this is another thing that Netanyahu admitted, indeed, that's true. He said, I'm on a spiritual mission to create a Greater Israel. That's what Netanyahu said. So all the things that were considered conspiracies, now they've effectively admitted all of them. Reoccupying Gaza, Greater Israel. And so look at what's happening in the West Bank. So this is an article from back in May of this year. Israel announces major expansion of settlements in the occupied West Bank. Israeli ministers say 22 new Jewish settlements have been approved in the occupied West Bank, the biggest expansion in decades. Several already exist as outposts built with government authorization, but will now be made legal under Israeli law. Others are completely new, according to Defense Minister Israel Katz and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, both wild extremists. Settlements, which are widely seen as illegal under international law, though Israel disputes this, are one of the most contentious issues between Israel and the Palestinians. Katz said the move prevents the establishment of a Palestinian state that would endanger Israel, while the Palestinian presidency called it a dangerous escalation. So, you're literally running a social experiment, right? The social experiment is, okay, what happens when they violently resist? Well, that would be what happens in Gaza, right, with Hamas. Well, when Palestinians violently resist, Israel decides, we're going to genocide you. That's their reaction, okay? But here, you also have an example in the West Bank with the Palestinian Authority, who runs there. It's not Hamas who runs it there. It's the Palestinian Authority, Fatah. What happens when you resist peacefully? When you're not nearly as militant as Hamas is, right? Well, what happens there? The same thing is happening. They're building 22 new settlements. They're trying to destroy any chance at a Palestinian state, and they're trying to resettle it and take it all over there as well. So that just goes to show Israel is going to do what Israel wants to do, and the idea, if the Palestinians did this differently or that differently, the result would be different. Wrong. Israel wants all the land, they want all the territory, they don't want any Palestinians there, and they're going to make that come about come hell or high water. Another example here, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee told Israel's Army radio that Washington does not oppose Israel's plan to move forward with massive settlement construction in the E1 area of east of Jerusalem. Okay, so what's this E1 area? What does that mean? What's E1? Observers warn the project would completely sever the West Bank and destroy Palestinian territorial continuity, I think I was supposed to say, or contiguity. Never saw that word. The United Nations has said it would drive a stake through the heart of the prospects of a two-state solution. So do you understand what's happening here? It could not be more clear. Effectively, the plan to annex the entire West Bank has been greenlit. By the way, you go back and look. I warned you time and time again before the election. I said, here's an article that says Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million for this race. And what's the quid pro quo for that $100 million? You need to let Israel annex the entire West Bank. Well, I'll be damned. That's exactly what we're witnessing here. So, the plan is in motion. The Greater Israel move is in motion. They're also taking parts of Syria. They also bomb Lebanon on a regular basis. This will eventually include parts of Jordan and Egypt as well. This is how psychotic the Zionist Israeli extremists are. They want to steal parts of like every country in the region. This is their goal, right? But guess what? It goes deeper. This is not just, yes, it is about colonialism and imperialism. Yes, it is. It's definitely about that. It's definitely about, territorial goals. But it goes deeper. It's also about religious fundamentalist extremist goals. And I'm not kidding about this. So a lot of people don't know this, but there is prophecy that's tied to the West Bank. So Ryan Grimm of Breaking Points actually did a great monologue on this the other day, and he's going to explain to you, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, went to Israel, went to the West Bank not that long ago, First time, so the Speaker of the House, very high-ranking U.S. official, not only went to the West Bank, went to the illegal settlements. So went to the areas that Israel's illegally occupying Palestinian territory and basically gave it his blessing, right? This is what Mike Johnson did. But there's another reason why he went there. Ready? Watch this. This is mind-boggling.
Mike Johnson became the first House Speaker to visit the occupied West Bank this week, with a trip that has attracted intense scrutiny. While there, he said that the mountains of Judea and Samaria, the settlers' name for the West Bank, belong to Israel, quote, by right, which not only contradicts international law, but also official U.S. policy. But behind the provocative rhetoric, the media so far has missed what appears to be the fundamentally biblical nature of the trip. So the story behind the trip involves a rabbi named Yitzhak Mamo, a Texas Christian named Byron Stinson, 5 red heifers, and the apocalypse. Now, in September of 2022, Stinson shipped 5 red heifers to Tel Aviv from Texas. The cattle are part of end times prophecy and are required to be sacrificed to help usher in the apocalypse. Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaidah, in marking the 100th day of the war that began on October 7th, even made reference to the red heifers as a provocation to be condemned, since part of the end times prophecy involves destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque and rebuilding the Jewish temple that was destroyed 2,000 years ago. On February 1st, 2023, Mike Johnson, according to a source with knowledge of the matter, invited Rabbi Mamo to Congress to speak to a group of evangelical Republicans about the heifers. Boris Johnson also happened to be there. And Johnson, that's Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson introduced the rabbi, who regaled the gathering with tales of the prophesied heifers. So the meeting was held on the same day as that year's National Gathering for Prayer and Repentance, a high-profile evangelical convening in Washington that Mike Johnson is heavily involved with. The next year, in 2024, both Stinson and Rabbi Mamo spoke at the gathering, telling their story again, where Johnson was a central figure.
So, Father, we bless you for granting us the ability to have the office of the Consolidator-in-Chief, represented by your man-servant, Speaker Johnson, to be with us today, and your different servants representing the entire earth for a cry of repentance.
So here's Byron Stinson at that event.
You're going to be extremely excited what you're about to hear now as we go into this portion on Israel. I have 2 good friends out here with me, Byron Stinson and Rabbi Yitzhak Mamo. And I'm going to have them start immediately by telling the story of the red heifers. These are the men who are at the epicenter of what's happening with the red heifers. So Byron, so we start with you. The story, Byron is an evangelical Christian from Texas. Saki Mamo is an Orthodox Jew from Jerusalem. Byron, do we start with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I have really good news today, and I'm so happy to be here. Can I have that first slide, please?
Yep.
If we go on to the next slide, what we see here are the red heifers. Let's go back one. Are the red heifers necessary for the Messiah to come? Well, let me ask you something. When Israel was scattered for 2,000 years in the land, was it necessary that Israel, Judah, the tribe of Judah, the lion, would return to the land? Was that necessary? Is it necessary that on the temple mountain of God, that there be a temple that we worship him there, as it says in Micah 4? Is that necessary that we build the land? So the first step on the red heifers is that we are going to move towards building that temple. This is the first step, and it has to happen.
So understand what he's saying here. He's saying the Al-Aqsa Mosque basically needs to be destroyed and need to build the 3rd temple there. And then that will help usher in the end times, the apocalypse, where Jesus comes back on a winged horse. This guy literally believes in this. And that's what he's describing, how excited he is that we're going to go destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and build a new temple there. And we need the Jews to control all the land in the Middle East. They don't want Gaza to exist. They don't want the West Bank to exist. To fulfill biblical prophecy, in their mind, the Jews need to control all the territory, which is why all these people gleefully support mass starvation of innocent people and mass killings, mass murder, genocide on a daily basis of innocents, kids being shot in the face, innocent people being bombed. Gaza is the number 1 place in the world with child amputees because Israel drops so many bombs on them and plays these sadistic games where they shoot different body parts on different days. And all these guys look at that and they love it. All these Christians who are supposed to believe in empathy and love and altruism and humanity, they sit there and they cheer as innocent people get murked on a daily basis.
My friends, I want to tell you, all of you in the nations, you need to know something. God had a plan. He put his people, Judah, into the nations to suffer because they didn't obey him. Here we are today. We're seeing today we're doing the same thing. But thankfully, we have leaders in Judah that love us. They've reached across to us, and they want to help lead us and they're reading their word and they're reading their Bible. And in the Bible, it says, find a red heifer. So they called me, and I didn't go find a red heifer for me. I found the red heifer for every one of you. Because the fathers of faith said, speak to the children in the lands and bring us a red heifer so that we might do this ceremony.
So just to underscore, this is the crew here that Mike Johnson brought to the Capitol.
Bruh. He also took them to Israel.
And here's Rabbi Mamo.
This part that has not been discussed publicly in any venue, we have to have land, and that land has to be at a certain elevation and a certain location. And what is that?
By Numbers 19, again, we have to read the Bible, we have to read the Torah, and to see. It's written that it had to be at the front of the Holy of the Holy. So at the tabernacle tent time, Moses, it was easy for him. He had the tent, and he just find the door. Today, as I mentioned before, we know where is the place of the Holy. It's on the Dome of the Rock. Okay, this is a view from Mount of Olive, okay, a big cemetery, Jewish cemetery. By the tradition, who buried in Mount of Olive will be the first one that will be wake up at the redemption time. But you can see the Dome of the Rock. So we have to be in a place that we can see the Holy of the Holy. And actually, it's had to be the same heights, that we can be at the same level of the temple.
However, buying land there is impossible, because if an Arab Muslim sells to a Jew, he or she gets killed. So that's hardly an option. But somehow, God supernaturally helped you buy what?
Piece of land. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, and specific, don't ask me why I succeed, I don't know. But with a lot of, I just say a miracle, okay? Not any other explanation.
Actually, 12 years ago, you said maybe we build the Red Angus Steakhouse up there when we were getting it. Remember that?
So we succeed to buy a little piece of land, 1 dunam, which means quarter of an
acre.
And it's, as you can see here, this is a photo from the mountain, okay? So it's at the same level of the temple. It's the front of the Holy place. So we have the cows, we have the land. We are ready.
The Israeli government approved you to bring your 5 pets, which you never kept in your front yard like most people do.
So as he says, they're in Shiloh. So what biblical town in the West Bank did Mike Johnson visit? Well, let's take a look. Who is that American tourist in the blue shirt and the khakis there? Well, there he is, Speaker of the House,
God.
Mike Johnson. Where is Mike Johnson? Where's that crowd? Shiloh.
Oh, my God. So Mike Johnson went to the West Bank, right? Went to Jerusalem and partook in this end times apocalypse like thing that they did. I don't know what you'd call it. Ceremony, I guess. And they actually did. They killed the red heifer. And this, in theory, in the minds of these people, is supposed to usher in the end times, the apocalypse, the rapture. And here's the part that drives me up a fucking wall. Why? Shout out to Ryan Grimm for doing this segment on Breaking Points, because this is amazing. This is special. And thank God he's getting the word out there. And I'm trying to spread the word also myself. But ask yourself this question. Why is it the only perspective that you've heard is the Sam Harris, Bill Maher, Coleman Hughes perspective of, oh, you can't negotiate, you can't work with these Muslim extremists because they're the problem. They don't believe in reason. They believe in religious fundamentalism. So, worldly things are not pertinent to them. So that's why you have to side with Israel. You have to side with the Jewish state because they believe in the Enlightenment and progress and reason. And those dastardly Muslims don't believe it. Okay, well, what about this? What about the ultra-Orthodox Jews? What about the evangelical end times Christian Zionists who want the rapture and are doing everything they can to try to bring about the rapture, including bringing a red heifer to Israel and sacrificing it, and the Speaker of the fucking House is there as they do it? What about them? I don't know. That seems pretty religious extremist to me. That seems pretty unreasonable to me. That seems not connected to reality, not connected to facts, not connected to modern Enlightenment society. But you only hear that, oh my God, it's Hamas, it's the Palestinians, it's the Muslims. You can't talk to them. There's no partner for peace. There's nobody to reason with. Meanwhile, what did I just describe to you? Israel is stealing Gaza, resettling, reoccupying all of Gaza, doing a genocide and an ethnic cleansing, and now at the same time, they're also taking the West Bank, building 22 new settlements and driving, their words, a stake through the heart of any potential for a Palestinian state. That's what they're doing. And also doing fucking end-time ceremonies where they kill a red heifer. And I'm supposed to sit here and say, oh, yeah, it's the Israelis and the U.S. are pure good, even though we're the ones that are arming and funding a genocide, doing a genocide, starving babies to death. And nobody's going to talk about this. Do you think the mainstream media is going to bring up the red heifer end-time ceremony and these religious psychopaths who are openly talking about what their plan was? No, it doesn't even come up. It doesn't even come up. So it is wild. We live in hell, bro. We live in hell. This is some bullshit like sci-fi horror movie type stuff. And this is actually what they believe and actually what they're trying to do. Do you understand what happens in the rapture? Jesus comes back on a winged horse and he like kills most of the Jews, converts some of the other ones. And by the way, this is the reason why the evangelical Christian Zionists are buddy-buddy with Israel and why they, have this alliance and why they support the genocide is because they think, oh, Jesus is going to come back and he's going to kill a bunch of you and then convert some and we're all going to go to heaven together. And it's like, all you guys need fucking Thorazine. You need antipsychotic pills ASAP because none of this shit is real. None of this shit is true. None of this shit is going to happen. And you're making life and death decisions where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are being killed and more than that are going to lose their homes too now in the West Bank. And all because you can, jack off to your religious fantasy, which is never going to come to fruition. It's unbelievable. It's unfucking believable. But again, you won't hear this. You won't hear this anywhere. Don't expect Sam Harris to tell you about the religious fundamentalists and extremists on the Israeli side and on the U.S. side. You're not going to fucking hear it, even though we just laid it out for you crystal clear. This happened, and this is continuing to happen. And now they're going to fuck over Palestinians from now until the end of time. And so anybody who actually believes in human rights and believes in international law and believes in justice will immediately say, number one, end the genocide. Number two, arrest Netanyahu and the entire Israeli government that's complicit in this genocide. Number three, force a fucking peace deal on them, right? Like, this is the stuff that we got to do. This is what we should be talking about. But no, people are just sitting back and watching as Gaza gets stolen and reoccupied. And in the West Bank, they are going to annex the whole thing, steal the whole thing, and try to launch an end times apocalypse theory by killing a red heifer. Like, this is incredible, bro. This is incredible what we're witnessing here. And unfortunately, nobody's talking about it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.